Hi, I'm Tricia from Club Scrap, and it's great to be back on the show. We've been getting a lot of requests around here for books, and more books, and I am more than happy to oblige. Today's project is this awesome little hardcover book. It's tiny, and inside we have a whole bunch of stitch-bound pages. This is going to be one for your idea file. Okay, so here's our book. The first thing we're going to be doing is making the cover. And what I'm using is Club Scrap's kit from the Academy collection. This is called the Make the Grade Book Kit. And in it is everything you need to make this little project. We're going to be starting with our outer cover papers. You can see those are right here. And I've placed them on the table texture side down. And then we have our spine cover piece right here. And that's also texture side down. And notice when I put them all in a row, they're the same height. And then we also have our 1/8 inch bookboard covers and our 1/8 inch spine piece. The first thing we're going to do is attach the spine to the spine cover. So let me show you how to do that. I'm using Club Scrap's 2x8 grid ruler here, and I'm going to find the center point on the outer edges. So it's at 1 3/4 on each side, and then I'll slide it up. And what this is doing is helping me center this bookboard piece onto the spine cover. And now I'll leave the ruler where it is, and I'll get my bookbinding glue. This glue is wonderful for making books. It's acid-free, archival, and water-based, so it's not messy. It's really easy to work with. Notice I put some glue on, and now I will spread the glue out. I'm going to center this back onto the edge of the ruler. Now we need to attach our book covers, and we need to allow for 1/4 inch of space between each side of the spine so that the book will open and close easily. And here's a little trick to doing that. I'll take my ruler and I'll lay it 1 inch in from the edge, from the long edge of the cover. And let's just make a line. And what this will end up being is my glue guide, and I'll make a line on both of these covers, again 1 inch in from the edge. Next, I'll take my bookbinding glue and just swirl some into the zone that I marked with my pen. With the chisel tip of the foam brush, I'll pick up some of the glue and then run the chisel tip along that guideline without going over. Then you'll fan the glue to the outer edge. Now if I just lay this down in front of me, take my spine piece and just center it visually right onto that pencil line. And then I'll quickly turn it over. I'll make fine-tuning adjustments here again, checking to make sure I'm flush with the edge of my ruler and that I have that 1/4 inch right here. And really, it's fitting there perfectly. Then you'll go ahead and attach the other cover. Now that my bookboard covers are attached to my spine piece, I need to finish attaching the rest of the cover, and this is so easy to do. You just simply take your glue and put it onto the cover. So now I've got my outer covers in place. Let's turn it over. We have some finishing work to do. We've got to make the perfect mitered corner. We're going to make a professional looking book here. Notice I'm taking my ruler, laying it perpendicular onto my work surface so that it's lined up with the corner of the cover board, and then I'm going to draw a little guideline. Now when I trim this, I'm going to go on the outside of that guideline. Okay, now that my corners are trimmed, I'm going to be using a bone folder to wrap the paper around the bookboard. I'll take my foam brush. Notice I didn't grab my glue bottle. With my brush, I already have enough glue in the tip to glue at least one of these long flaps. Okay, so when I wrap this up and over, with just a slight press of the fingers, this wonderful glue holds it right where it belongs. Now I've only done the top and bottom. Now I need to do the sides, and before I glue these into place, there is a step that we need to do that's very important. That's going to happen right here. Now I've got my tip of my bone folder, and I'm going to just use it to take the paper that's extending beyond the edge of the mat board and just tuck it right in there. I'll do the same on this side. Just tuck that paper in, almost as if you're wrapping the tiniest gift ever and you're just shoving the side folds in. Now if I bring this flap up and over, take a look at that corner. It's just like a book you would buy in a store, except better because you made it yourself. Okay, so there's my final flap, and my book is looking great. It's functioning. It looks nice from this side, but we need to finish the inside of the book. And before we do that, we're just going to add a ribbon bookmark. Just add a little bit of glue, and then you can put your ribbon in place. Now notice something. I'm attaching it to the top edge of the book so that when the pages are inside, the ribbon will fold down this way, and then you can cut the end a little bit. Now, I've got some tips for you for applying this part. Sometimes this is really the hardest piece because it's not as firm as that book board, and I don't want you to glue it on your work surface. Hold it between your thumb and support it with your hand. Turn your paper into a U shape. Add your glue. I just like to add it in swirls. And then you can brush from the inside to the outer edges while you're actually holding this piece of cover stock. I'm going to start on one end here and center this piece on all three sides of this edge and just start putting it down, and then I'll work my way across. When I reach my first gutter, I just take the pad of my finger and bring that paper down a little bit into the gutter so that this hinge will continue to work properly even with the inside cover in place. Now I'm going over the spine, over the ribbon to the next gutter. Now you will notice when I open and close my book a few times, it might tend to pop up in a few places. Let's give it a check. Did you see that? Now it's kind of coming up in the middle. That's okay. Pull it back down and burnish a little bit more in those areas. And pretty soon the paper will begin to function just like it's supposed to. Now as part of this book kit, there are 5 sheets of die-cut file folders included in different colors, and they come with 5 large folders, and then for each sheet there's a medium folder and then 2 smaller folders. We'll get to those a little bit later. For now, we're just going to be working with our large file folders. And what we're going to do is fold on the center score line, fold this in half, and that way this file folder then becomes one of the signatures for our stitch-bound book. The next thing we need to do is put some pre-pierced stitching holes into our file folder. And for that, I'm going to be using this XL corkboard from Timeless Touches, and I'm also going to be using a retractable paper piercing tool from Timeless Touches. I love it because it's so safe to use. I can, just as if I was operating a pen, push out the paper piercing needle. All right, I have 0 on the edge. Here's my fold line, and right into the fold line I'm piercing at 1/2 of an inch. Pull it right back out. Then I pierce at 1, 2, 3, and 4, and finally at 4.5 inches. Now what I have here is a pattern that I can transfer to my other pages. I'll lay this right onto the second page. Here are my pre-pierce holes facing me. Line everything up perfectly. This is very important. Then take your piercing tool once again, transfer those holes into your second signature. Then I'll keep my pattern and transfer the pierced holes into all the remaining pieces for our book. I'm using some waxed linen thread already on the needle. Now I'm going to take this needle and bring it into the very top hole from the outside to the inside. Just pull it in, bring it through, and I'm going to kind of hang on to about a 2 or 3 inch tail. Then I'll re-enter the next hole, going back to the outside, and then in and out all the way until I reach the bottom of this first signature. Now here I've gone through, needle came in from this end, it's back on the outside at the bottom, and I'm finished stitching the signature, so I'm going to close the page. And now we're ready to add the second signature. So I'll line up the spines end on end. I'm laying it beneath my first signature. I will open it so that I can stitch inside, and the needle will go into the corresponding neighboring hole. Now I've officially made a connecting stitch. Signature 1 is attached to signature 2, and then I just stitch in and out until I reach the top. Now that I've reached the top, I still have a tail with the long thread and the needle at the end of it, and then I have my little tail, and these signatures need to be attached. Easiest way to do that is just tie it in a simple knot. 2 signatures, done. Let's take the third signature. Just as you might guess, signature 1 and 2 is closed, 3 is open. I'm entering into the inside of my third signature. My connector stitch has us all connected, and then I'll just stitch in and out until I reach the bottom. Okay, I've reached the bottom, and we need to find a way to connect signature 3 to 2. Now I'm going to bring this needle right between this connector stitch, between signature 1 and 2, and I like to bring it from the inside going out so that I can catch my needle when it comes out the other side. And then I'll pull this through, and I'm not going to pull it tight though, because now what I have is exactly what I'm looking for, a loop. Drop that needle through the loop, and we have just performed what we call a kettle stitch. Pull the knot tight, and now my third signature is connected to signature 1 and 2. Piece of cake. Basically from then on, you continue in the same manner. You do that 2 times, and then all of your signatures are stitched together. Let me show you how beautiful that's going to look. Now this is a small stack of pages, but you can still get the idea of how lovely these stitch pages will look when they're inside your book. Speaking of that, let's add those to the book. I'm going to isolate the back page of my signatures. I'm going to add some glue to this. I've also tucked in those 2 tails of bookbinding thread. With this ready to go, I'll lay it on the inside, centering as much as possible on the 3 sides, and I have a beautiful book. Now let's take a look at the finished one, where I can show you another alternative stitching method for the inner pages. If I open this, I just absolutely love this, and as I open it, you'll see that the medium and small sized file folders were actually stitched right into the book as it was created. Now let's take a look at some of the other Stitch Bound books that we made. Here's one I would just want to show you. In the inside, you can see how it's decorated with the Stitch Bound file folders in the front. I just thought even if you were at a bridal shower or a baby shower, you could have photos of your guests and the gifts that they brought inside, and then a registry or a signature sign right in the front here. It'd be a lot of fun. I just can't tell you how much I enjoy making Stitch Bound books. It really doesn't take a lot of effort to learn, practice, and master this technique. If you try it, you'll be getting an A+ in bookbinding in no time. I'll see you next time.
For step-by-step instructions on how to create this week's project, download the design guide featuring special make-it-your-own bonus tips.